Welcome to the Music Production Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Funk. This is the show about all things making music. On today's show, I have two guests. I have Michaela Shiloh and Andre Mullen. They run the website HRDRV, which offers everything a music creator needs. We had a great conversation about their platform and community building. Michaela talked about her experience writing music with Jennifer Lopez and Janet Jackson. Andre spoke about his experience working with Bad Boy Records and managing artists, and some really cool stories about hard work, perseverance, and community. It was a great conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Please welcome Andre and Michaela to the show. Andre, Michaela, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
We're excited.
It's great to have you already. I feel like a really nice positive energy from you both. It seems like you also must have that together in a working relationship.
Yes, we do.
It's nice to have like that kind of camaraderie and collaborative spirit, to see that between you guys. I'm sure that's got to be a huge part in running your company, HRDRV.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
It's everything. It's quite literally the glue that holds it all together, like behind the scenes and on the scene. When I started the company in 2019, I actually did not foresee that. It was very much a two-sided marketplace idea, and the community grew quite rapidly really soon. Like within the first few weeks, artists were promoting each other and connecting and collaborating, and it was just really special. And that's been the secret sauce the past 4 or 5 years now, is how that camaraderie, like you mentioned, has grown from the marketplace. It's really beautiful. Actually, I haven't seen that in my traditional career at all. The music business is very cliquey and political, not always a nice place. So it's nice to have a safe, fun, warm, welcoming community like we have at HRDRV. It's excellent.
Very nice. Yeah, you're right. It can be kind of like cutthroat and everyone's a competitor. But I do feel like it seems like when people get together and work together, it's that kind of saying about the high tide raises all ships, or rising tide. You know what I'm talking about? The one where all the boats get higher because...
Exactly, because everyone's pushing. Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. Exactly. Yeah.
Can I get you guys maybe to just describe HRDRV for us so everyone listening can kind of get a sense of what this is all about?
Andre, take it away. It's so much.
HRDRV is about community. It's about music. It's about tech. And the beautiful thing about HRDRV is that it brings those three aspects together. Not only in a product form, but in a people form. And what continues to be, like, as Michaela said, the glue is really the people. We esteem people over product. However, we want to help them with products to continue to further their career. And people that we're talking about are creatives in general, particularly recording artists. But we also do have and do work with service providers that, as Michaela mentioned earlier, when she first created and founded HRDRV, it was a, two-way marketplace where you had artists being able to really, to engage with service providers, get services from service providers. And not that that's not still the case. However, with that, there became this growth of a community where you have artists being each other's biggest fans. And that's a serious driver for not only growth, but innovation in a different way that challenges us to create and work through different tech applications that help artists to grow and scale their artist business. And it's not just artists it's not just beginning artists, it's not just mid-tier artists, it's not even just artists that have been in the market already. It really comprises all of them. because artists are all at different stages of their career, and I know that is one of the things we take real pride in. Not only pride, but really satisfaction and joy in the simple fact that there is no artist that we can't help. You know, there isn't an artist that we can't help. There isn't an artist that is that's not within reach. There's, you know, between Michaela and I, we have over 15 years of music industry experience, and then when you wrap all of that in technological pieces and systems and processes, it becomes something totally different. And so hard drive is special in that regard.
You said over 50 years of experience, right? Because it's my 15 and you're 35. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how much experience we have. We always joke that Andre looks 35, but he's been in the game for 30 plus years. It's crazy. He's about to hit that 50. Sorry, Andre.
Yeah, good. I never would have guessed.
Right?
Oh, man.
Yeah, he really nailed it. He really nailed it. But go ahead, Brian. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. I'm here to hear you guys talk. So it's a funny thing as a musician, you get involved in this and you think you're going to play your instrument or you're going to sing, you're going to write songs, whatever it is. And then you start to realize, no, I'm going to get into promotion, marketing, web design, video content. It's overwhelming, really. And I feel it a lot myself, just all these hats we have to put on to do it. And I'm guessing that's a big part of where you guys come in to kind of help artists navigate that. Because like I said, like, it's hard enough being an artist. It's hard enough doing the music and focusing on the craft. And then when you start factoring these other things in, it's like, well, how do you get anything done? Exactly.
Well, that's absolutely the entire purpose. You know, I always say hard drive is a Swiss Army knife of sorts. You know, we're very focused on education, business education, and that's one of the biggest parts of what we do is we, you know, we're doing these members only calls. We've done that once a week for the past 2.5 years, like rain or shine, every Sunday. And that's just even a place where it's just free call. You know, our members we talk about everything from music marketing to life, mental health. We have jam sessions, so just listening to each other's music and giving, you know, real feedback and not just being yes men. It's like, no, it's real constructive criticism as well. And as I said, Swiss Army knife of all those things. It's connecting, you know, graphic designers, videographers, photographers, radio promotional tools. We do have a distribution arm, but we're in no way a distributor. I hate being compared to distributors because we're just not, that's just not what it is. It's one very small part of what we do. And yeah, it's a moving enigma. And it's a la carte, you know, you come and get what you need. If you're an artist that's just starting out and you really need someone to hold your hand, there's definitely people on the team that will do that. And I've never seen that in any other music tech company. And I've been a part of a lot of different communities, and I don't feel the love the way that we provide it. But that's why it's special.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard drive is definitely something that I actually was talking to a friend of mine who actually runs a label and has artists under his, you know, part of his roster. And we were talking about how there's so many tools for artists, but there isn't really a toolbox. So I liken it to if you and I want to build a house, Brian, right? Michaela gives us a hammer. Great, we do need a hammer. But at some point, we're going to need nails. So now we got to go find nails. All right, now we got nails, but we also find that we need a saw. Okay, so we got to go look for a saw. All right, we got the saw, we got nails, got a hammer. Okay, now we got to go find a ruler. We got to go find, we have to find all of these pieces. We're looking in all of these different places for all of these pieces that are necessary to build this house. We actually are spending more time looking for all the pieces to build this house. And that's when the frustration really comes in. Versus if where Michaela comes and she comes with a toolbox and she comes with she has all the tools to at least get started, right? She's going to be further ahead than we are. She's going to be less frustrated than we are, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of how I was explaining to my friend. That's how I was explaining how the music industry is with all of the tools that are available to artists. There are tools, and they're not bad tools. They're really good tools. It's just that you still have to go here, 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 and then over there, so that you can get all these tools together, and then, only then, you have to try to figure out, okay, now how do I make all of these tools work? Because they got to work together. So how do I do that? And at the end of the day, what do artists focus on? I just want to make music, man. I didn't sign up for all it. Like you said, I didn't sign up for marketing. I didn't sign up for promoting myself. I didn't sign up for making content. I didn't sign up for it. I just want to make the music. So that's where hard drive really comes in and says, hey, here's a toolbox. We know you want to build a house. Here's a toolbox. We want to provide you with a faster, in every sense of the word, a faster and more efficient way to get to point B, then to point C, then to point D, right? And if you're an artist that, let's say you're an artist that already has some traction, has a catalog, right? You're already at H, and you're realizing, man, I need some other stuff, man, to get me to point I, and move me forward. Hey, you may need another set of tools, right? You may need another toolbox, because in the toolbox you have, you don't have a power drill. You don't have a power saw. So that's really what we provide. And there really isn't too many places that, especially I've come across, that really allows for that, Mm-hmm. So that's what's that's the
high level house metaphor.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No, it is.
I'm an English teacher by day, and what you just said would be a perfect literary example of extended metaphor, right? But it is a really good one, because I mean, you mentioned right before we started recording, you're doing this on Riverside. I never used Riverside to do a podcast. And I can't tell you how long I bounced around just trying to figure out which was the best platform. There's a lot of platforms that do different things, and you sort of have to almost just take these leaps of faith as you're trying to figure this out. And it's not just for podcasts, but for anything. Like, what DAW am I going to use? What am I going to? All these things, like the questions just keep going. And if you go on the internet, you'll find every opinion possible, and you really don't know who's giving you the information, where they are. They might just be somebody who had a friend to speak about it and don't have the experience. They might be at the top levels of the game. It's really hard to know where you're at. So I could see how having something that just kind of keeps you together, keeps you in one spot where you can find the things you need, is useful. Definitely useful when you're trying to fix something around the house.
Exactly. That part.
Oh, man. It's funny.
So you guys didn't just decide one day to do this out of nowhere because you thought maybe these musician people have a problem with their, getting their careers together. You have a lot of experience. I was kind of interested just to hear what led you both to this point, some of your backstory a little bit.
Yeah, I'll go. I've been in the music business since I was 15. That's when I signed my first publishing deal. Is to a producer named Chad Dexter. He was signed to G Unit at the time, so I was really young. That's when I found out that artists had songwriters. I didn't know that was a thing until I was 15. I was like, oh wow, this is actually a career. I remember Chad sending me a beat one day for Ashley Simpson, and I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm gonna write for her? I don't understand this concept. She doesn't write her own songs. So it was a really a big moment for me. And then my business brain, even at 15, was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a songwriter. And then my artistry itself kind of took a little bit of a backseat because I came into the game as an artist. And I was always told by my producers, when I was younger, that just start as a songwriter so you really learn the business, and then you network with other artists, and then you can do your artist thing later, right? So that's kind of the journey that I took. When I was 17, I signed to another producer. Kind of shifted gears a little bit. I met Darkchild, Rodney Jerkins, and I signed a deal with him. And that's when I met Janet Jackson and Britney Spears and wrote for J-Lo and all of those artists at 17. I was in high school. And rocked out with him for a couple of years. And then, it's just the regular ups and downs of the business. I ended up parting ways with him when I was 19. And I've been independent ever since, although I was still in a publishing deal for a few years after that. I couldn't get out my publishing deal. That's just, again, kind of the messed up part of this business is getting, surprise, getting stuck in these contracts, people not responding to you, like, welcome to the music business. So I actually found a website in my mid-20s that completely changed my life. It was called Sound Better. Shout out to Shahar Gilad, the CEO. And that site is a two-sided marketplace, and I started making really great money on this website. So finally, I was using my skill sets for something useful, because being in the music business, especially a songwriter, we already know that the royalties associated with that are just not great, even with the people that I was writing songs for. We could get into that a little bit later. Had platinum plaques on my wall. My mom was still paying my rent until I was 23. So I found this website called Sound Better, and I started making like 10, 13 grand a month on this website with, doing vocal features and demos. All that being said, I really kicked into my music is an actual business mindset, right? Like my mindset really shifted back into I'm an entrepreneur and yada, yada, yada. Long story short, because there's many roads on this journey, I actually ended up feeling, and this is no shade to Sound Better because I'm so grateful for it being in my story, I started feeling like it was just a job, right? And I was still working day and night, and I wanted to make money in my sleep, right? And I also wanted to help people. So I was like, how the hell do I do that, right? How do I do that? That's like the number one goal. And I heard Tony Robbins say, you don't have a business until you have a system that could be sold. And I was like, damn, if I stop my songwriting business, I don't have a business. Doesn't matter how much money I'm making, my rent won't get paid. So I was driving one day, and on the 5, and I always tell this part of the story. I was at the part on the 5 from LA to the Bay Area where it just smells really bad. The cows smell so bad. And it was this moment that out of nowhere, so this actually did happen out of nowhere, Hard Drive's birth story. I thought, wait, I have all of these artists DMing me, asking me where I'm getting, my cover artwork, my mixing and mastering, my beats. And then on the other side, I know all of these amazing, creative service providers that are my friends that I've just known in the industry for, 10 years at that point. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this doesn't exist. There's no place I've ever seen where you're getting that myriad of services in one place. And so I got to my destination that night, opened my laptop, got on Wix.com, thought of Hard Drive, the name, instantly, because artists just keep songs on their hard drive collecting dust. And Hard Drive was born. I bought the site plan for like $150, set up the subscription integration because, you know, I was starting from zero. Like it had to make sense, right? And I had to give access to these relationships I had been building for 10 years. It doesn't make sense to give that away literally for free, right? There was no way I could do that. They're very valuable relationships to me. So long story short, 10 artists signed up the first week, and I was like, wow, I already have a proof of concept. People really need this. It's useful for them. I was doing all the customer service for the first year and a half. We were on emails and third-party forums before we, you know, got our web team involved because I'm non-technical, but I used the tools that I had to put all the tools in one place. It was pretty crazy. We were like using Google Drive and all sorts of things. But again, that's when I started seeing the community forming itself, and I was like, this is a lot bigger than I thought it would be. I thought I was just going to make a simple tool and, you know, make my money in my sleep and be able to help people at the same time. But then it became about much more than that. It just became about people over products because artists are so productized, obviously, in this business. And I just really care about people and their mental health and them feeling like they're making an impact, even in their small audience or mid-size audience, however big it is. But yeah, that's the origin story. It was actually a random moment on a drive, and it just was like, bam, out of nowhere. Wow. Just made sense. Yeah.
Well, it's cool because people were sort of asking you for it already.
Yeah, they were.
You know?
They were, and I had to solve the problem. I was like, I can't keep answering these DMs one-offs. You know, it was like so much information all the time. Bring it all together. Yeah.
I think it's a great attitude to have that kind of people first thing too.
Yeah.
Because what I've found myself, and I've had people say to me, like, sometimes people will send me a song to listen to or ask for some advice about something, and it's like, well, why don't you charge them for that? Why don't you, you know, make this a thing you do? And what I've kind of found, like, number one, I don't really want to commit to all that time that would take, but when I do offer that kind of one-off things, you know, people respond, like, they stick around.
They do.
You know, it really
They
means
really do.
something to them. And I've had those relationships become two-way relationships very quickly, where I'm getting something out of it, whether it's even just some satisfaction and encouragement. You know, there's people that appreciate what you're doing.
Yep.
But it's funny how it's kind of like the more you give, the more comes back. And I always see those types of opportunities as just they're building relationships, they're building connections, and it's a reputation thing, and it sort of becomes like a philosophy you embody a bit.
Yep. Absolutely.
Never regretted it. Never been like, I
Yeah,
shouldn't
no.
have done that. You know?
Heard.
But that's really cool that you know, you just had this thing kind of come to you, in that people wanted to know what you were doing, and that's something I think people in many different phases of their careers in the arts and music, they have something to offer. There's always somebody that's either not there yet or coming at it from a different angle that can learn from you. And yeah, it's all about sharing that. So that's cool.
Yes,
it's cool to see that
sharing
that's sort of like,
and not scamming people. Man, the scams out there are insane. We love blasting scammers because it's just sorry, it makes me so it makes it harder for us to do what we do because we're doing a genuine service here, and you know, there's all those fake A&R emails going out, and there's these producer scams now, and it's just like, where can you go where there's trusted veterans in this business that are, you know, that are trying to protect you? And that's definitely us.
yeah. Well, what is it like for you being still in high school and being asked to write for Ashley Simpson, Janet Jackson?
Yeah, it was surprisingly normal. I know that's crazy, but I've been recording myself since I was 12 years old, you know, Pro Tools, and I had this DAW called Magix Audio, like 2004 or something, that I was using on a PC. So really my life wasn't disrupted in any way. I would go to LA in the summers, but I was always just home recording and sending those songs to Darkchild and his team, or Chad when I was signed to Chad. And it was very much a virtual collaboration for a long time. You know, when the songs would come out, like Janet Jackson came out, I was a junior, and I went to watch the video in the library at school, and I like called a couple friends over, and they're like, there's no way you wrote that. And I'm like, dude, yes, I did. Like, people didn't really even believe it was my life, so that was a little frustrating too. But it was normal. It just felt normal. I didn't do any extracurricular activities. I would just go to school, then go home and write, and that was my life. I went to like 2 high school parties my whole 4 years. I was very much just working the whole time.
What is that track so I can put it in the show notes?
Oh yeah, it was "Make Me" by Janet Jackson.
Cool.
Yeah, it was fun. That was my first major placement seeing like a video. My first major placement where there was a video, and so that was it was a good memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet, you know, just going with this theme of we all kind of have something to offer at our level. As a high school student, you get this perspective and probably this world view in the lyrics and the songs that, you know,
oh my gosh,
that they can't have, that they might want to bring to the music to keep it fresh and young and popular.
Absolutely. So that goes both ways too. I remember when I met J-Lo, the song that we wrote for her was called "This Cannot Be Love," and I remember when she came into the room and we were talking about the song and playing her the song, she was like, "What you know about this topic?" Like, she was kind of clowning me because I'm like 17 and know nothing about, you know, having a 10-year marriage. So it definitely goes both ways. Like, you can definitely bring the fresh perspective, but then there is some lack of experience, whereas a teenager, you have to really use your imagination for some things. But I have an overactive imagination, so it worked out.
Well, I can tell you, I've seen plenty of romantic drama going down in the high school hallways.
That part, that's true too. That is true. And it's gotten worse now. Oh my gosh, there's a lot going on with these teenagers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a tough time to be a kid. I didn't have to grow up with cell phones, the internet, social media. The internet was like new. AOL was fresh back then. So.
Wow. That's what I was using. I was using AOL Messenger for some of these collaborations, and like iChat. Who remembers iChat?
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Right.
Wow.
That's cool.
Wild.
Hey, you know, but again, probably being young, you understood these platforms, you know, better than a lot of the adults here, but it gives you some sort of leg up. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andre, how about you? You've got some pretty cool things going on, and also something. Well, I'll let you fill it in.
I got my start in the music industry. Really, I started in a boys group, and when I was younger, and my mom is a retired school teacher, so. You know, she was like, I was excited about being in this group. We were making some R&B music, and I gotta tell you, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be cool. The whole bit, I'm gonna be a superstar. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was in a group there was 5 of us. You know, we was doing our dance routines in the backyard. Nice. You know, one of my friends was. At the time, he was the one who was producing when we had MIDI keyboards and the whole bit, and you know, and it was something. And we were just really good. You couldn't tell us anything. I came into the music industry at a time at the height of New Jack Swing, the beginning of New Jack Swing. In case anybody is like, huh? That's like Bobby me. Brown. That's Bobby Brown. That's New Edition. That's, oh my gosh, that's so many Rex in Effect. It was that time, especially in black music, particularly where there was a shift. There was the marriage, the real marriage of hip hop and R&B. And fast forward with that, we were offered. The group broke up, but me and my friend were still working together, and we got to a point where we were offered a record deal from Columbia, and at the time, that was when deals were like they was. Oh my gosh, it's even now is how it is now. Like they were just throwing money, and we got a deal. I was excited. My mom was like, no. So that was that. End of story.
Right.
But
how old are you at that time?
I was in high school. So I was 15.
Wow.
I was 15.
That's insane.
And
interesting commonality
Yeah.
between you two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 15, and but I never stopped working in music. I continued, I just kind of kept my ear to the street, was just still doing some working and writing and doing some vocals. When I got into college was when a lot of my friends at that point, they were a few years older than me, they were interning at labels. And at that point, I was getting these little kind of like side gigs. So I was a session singer for a lot of artists that were doing demo work, had been signed and were doing demo work. Further into college, I became very captivated by the business side after a friend of mine showed me recording agreements, management agreements from Uptown Records, where Andre Harrell was the president, and my friend worked closely with Sean Combs in the A&R department. And I was able to really see how the business worked. I pretty much got involved in music publishing directly because of Sean Combs. It was
business.
Yeah, he worked with artists. He worked with artists, and at the time he was working with a young lady that we all know and love now, Mary J. Blige. This was the beginning of Bad Boy. So he worked with Faith Evans because Faith Evans did a lot of background vocals between her and Mary J. Blige. They used to do a lot of background vocals for a lot of different artists. Jodeci, like all of the artists that were part of the first kind of wave of Uptown, where Sean was, where I commonly call him Puff, but I try to use his name because people be like, Puff, who's Puff?
Right.
But he was Puff, you know what I'm saying? And there was a lot of artists, and there was a lot of artists that he was working with at the time. And he worked with artists in a way where I had never seen before. I was really, really, really impressed with it. Along with the events he used to throw and the people that used to be there. So, Russell Simmons, Leor Cohen, when he was a tour manager, he wasn't even, and he was just starting to work with Russ, and they had created Rush Entertainment, Rush Entertainment Management. It was a whole management company. So they had LL, they had Run DMC. So it was wild. It was just a wild time, a very different time. The music industry was like even then it was the wild, wild west. But there were so many people that were interconnected, right, and that were working together in such kind of let's get it ways. Like nobody was like, oh, I don't know if we could do this. It was like, look, when people were saying no, they were like, oh yeah, no, well we're gonna do it. And what ultimately was my thing was as I began to see the businesses and I began to be at events and see these particular people who are now icons and moguls in their own right, I realized that the business was where I wanted to be. And I first was working in music publishing. That's how I came into the business. I was working in music publishing, and then one day, one of the artists whose catalog I was working with, he asked me that question that everybody falls for. Can you manage me? And I was like, sure. What? That's easy. Not knowing that became a very that was a turning point in my music career, music journey. I've worked with independent artists predominantly by choice. I've had a bad experience with a signed artist, and that literally said, you know what? Yeah, I'm not working with a signed artist, and I worked with independent artists, and I have successfully worked with independent artists for 22 years, and just within the last 2 years, hit burnout and said, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was at a high. I wasn't like, oh man, lost money, destitute, nothing like that. I don't have no sob story like that. I was literally about to scale my business, working with various partners, and I felt it and I just couldn't shake it. And I said, this doesn't feel good anymore. And I said, I don't want to do it. And, you know, the first person I had this conversation with was my wife. She didn't believe me. She was like, oh, you know, it'll pass. It's like, yo, you got heartburn. It'll pass. You know, I was like, it just don't feel good right now. But I was like, no, like this doesn't, it's not jiving anymore. Something's not happening. And I said, I'm going to get a job. She was like, okay, let's see how that works. You're going to get a job. And for 2022, I spent whole 2022 looking for work and didn't find anything. And at the end of 2022 was when some good friends of mine were like, hey, look, you this is what we think, you know this stuff. And then I came to understanding of, yeah, I do know this stuff. And as a matter of fact, you know, I want to help artist managers. I do. So I went and spent 2023 embracing what I called and what I made public the paradigm shift. And that paradigm shift was that I really believe that artist managers are integral to helping artists and building artists. And I ultimately want to see artists win. I do. And so in 2023, I've had the opportunity of just dealing with various tech platforms and various individuals, and one of those individuals was Michaela. And, you know, hard drive, the real reason why I am such a proponent of hard drive, why I work with Michaela, why I believe in hard drive, is because ultimately the end goal and the end game is still the same. And that is to help artists create sustainable careers for themselves. You know, whether that be with a team or without. And the beauty of this is, something I've always said, is that the only way that we can do this, the only way that they can do this now in this particular era of music, you've got to use tech. If you do not use tech, you're not going to win at all. And there's no reason for any artist to be a struggling artist in 2024. If you're a struggling artist, it's because you're in your own way. Not for any other reason. Not because, oh, you know, there's so much competition out. No, there's no competition. I've said that too. There's no competition in the music industry. Competition you have is in your head. So, you know, so here we are, you know, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm excited about a lot of things that we're working on. Michaela, you know, I've gone on. I haven't gone on record with saying this, but I will here because I think it's true. I think Michaela's a genius. You know,
Thank you.
You know, she's, you know, she has put something together with what she has in her hand and said, hey, I want to see this though. And, you know, those are things that are impressive to me. Because for so long I've worked with artists that's always like, I don't have this. How can I do this? I don't have this. And I'm like, and I've always been a strong supporter of those that, hey, look, man, if I take this thing and I take this thing, because these are the only two things I have, and I put them together and we can make them work and it could get me to point B, then cool, let's do it. And now there's just too many things that artists, like I'm even looking, like you have a full studio there. You know how many artists that I know are probably like, oh, I don't know, I don't feel like recording. What? You have a full studio and you sit, you know, I haven't recorded in a week. What? What? I know artists that literally have a MacBook. There was a story about an artist who went to his computer crashed. I don't know if you ever heard this story, Michaela, but his computer crashed. This guy went to the Mac store. He went to the Apple store and literally finished his album using one of the Macs in the store.
Wow.
It's awesome.
He would go there. He had his external hard drive, literally plugged that
right
in, boop,
yeah.
and finished his album in the Mac store.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear art, I don't have, and you know what, the reps would come to him, and they would literally time him. So he'd be like, all right, cool. I guess I got 2 hours. I gotta make it count.
Wow, I love that.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no reason. Like, now, there's no reason, man. There's just, you know, like, you just keep seeing instances of it, of people using what they have to achieve greatness. Greatness is in us already. So now it's just tapping into, all right, I got to get this out. So how do I get this out? Okay, let me pick this up and this, and let me use this to get what's in me out. And that's really what it is. But I can talk about that for days. But that's ultimately how I feel about where a lot of artists are. So, you know, I'm definitely a no excuses type of guy, because I'm around people and have been around people who, as we say, have got it out the mud. So
that's a great story, because I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I know that feeling where you've got everything ready to go and you're like, I don't know, you know, I don't feel it today. It's like, come on. And a lot of times those are the days, if I show up and work anyway, cool stuff happens, because it's like the jump from like negative inspiration to any kind of inspiration is huge. So when it hits, you're like, yes, all right, I wasn't even going to do it today, and look at this, and you're psyched. And something like that story about the Apple store going in there, like, that's a form of creativity. Like, creativity to me, I think, is solving problems. Sometimes we have too much, and like, you can have everything set up and you go, I don't know.
Exactly.
But when you have those problems to solve, you're like, you know what? I'm going to go to the Apple store and see if they kick me out, you know, and just see what I can get done, because I got to do this. I think that kind of spirit, I mean, there's no stopping people like that.
Exactly.
That's like a freight train coming. Like,
Yep.
going to the store.
That part.
Just see if I can get away with it. That's great.
Yep, I totally believe that. I just for real, I think that people, you know, I think that this is the time for artists to really embrace how to make it. I think too many artists are just they're wanting things to kind of they're wanting things to kind of just fall in their lap. You know, I mean, Michaela and I, we deal with that a lot with artists that, hey, like I'm just reminded, like, so on our platform we were offering free artwork, right? And we're altering some things and changing some things, so no more free artwork. People were just in a rage. Like
3 years of free artwork. It was a lot of free artwork. Thousands of covers created.
The messages, the
anger.
You guys are not offering free work. Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? Like, you've been getting free artwork that you've never had.
We also have graphic designers on the platform that are really low cost. I'm talking like in the $30 or $40 range that are doing graphics that are incredible. Like we're definitely not out here, with super high cost services. It's like it's really low cost when it comes to things like that. So that was a big business change for us, but it's got to happen. Got to alter things as we go.
Well, it's understandable. I mean, stuff doesn't come out of thin air. I mean, if you want free, go AI, do that,
Yeah,
but you're not going to get art. You want art. Like, I think that some expectations need to be maybe shifted a little.
Right.
Brought into reality. Right. I mean, you guys have obviously a lot of experience, and it's interesting to hear how you've managed to kind of tap into some of your own potholes, I guess, and bumps in the road. And also, Andre, what you mentioned about the kind of like go-getter attitude that was present in the bad boy community back then. I mean, that's why we know what Bad Boy Records is. We know about this because of that kind of spirit. And the people that said, oh, no, we can't do that. Oh, okay. Well, we don't know who they are. They didn't make it, right? So I think that's an important kind of ethic to bring to anything you do. I love the story. I'm going to think about the guy, the Apple Store person. It's really cool. I bet it's good.
Better be.
Yeah.
For real.
But it's cool what you're doing. I'm glad that you're using that to build community and help artists out. I wish we did have more time because I think you guys both have lots of interesting stories that you could probably get into.
Oh, yeah.
So do you want to send people, that would be to harddrive.com?
Yes,
right?
harddrive.com.
No vowels?
No vowels. We took them all out. HRDRV.com. And then Twitter is harddrive the label, and Instagram is just harddrive HRDRV. Find us there.
Yeah. Right. Cool. So I'll put all that in the show notes. I'll link to some of your music as well.
Thank you.
Anything else before we say goodbye to everybody?
Just keep going. It's really about persistence and dedication. Persistence being number one. That's the only way it's going to work out.
For real.
Right. Yeah. I agree. Well said. Well, thank you both, Andre and Michaela, and thank you to the listener. We appreciate you sticking around and listening to us chat. Check out Hard Drive. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Music Production Podcast. If you want to help support the show, the best thing you can do is tell a friend, someone you think that would enjoy the show. I'd also love it if you could leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to support my work, you can go to brianfunk.com. I've got tons of Ableton Live packs, tutorials, samples. You can check out my book, The 5-Minute Music Producer, which gives you 365 short music-making activities to help you get started, stay inspired, and finish more music. And there's also the Music Production Club, where you get my latest releases as soon as they're finished. It gives you access to a community of like-minded people who are making music and sharing ideas. You can share your music, find new collaborators, and participate in our live meetings where we set up some kind of musical challenge and then make music together and share our results at the end. That's the Music Production Club. It's a lot of fun, and you can find that and everything that I do at brianfunk.com. Thanks again for listening to the show, and have a great day.